What if you don't make it? What if you don't hit that deadline? Now, I just want to say before you answer that question, I know that that is a triggering question, and most of us run from it. The feeling of being uncomfortable or being inconvenient can be the sign that you're on the right path.
I feel very passionately that achieving success and growing into the next best version of us, which is a constant thing that's happening, is not going to be comfortable.
Are you feeling stuck, lost, tired, or uninspired? We've all been there, including myself. I'm Coach Des, mindset motivator and lifestyle entrepreneur. I'm here to tell you that the best, unapologetic, and limitless version of yourself is yet to come. The Born Unbreakable podcast is here to inspire just that. With motivating guests from all different walks of life and around the world, their stories will empower you to unlock abundance and your unbreakable spirit. Do you need accountability? Reach out to me for a free consultation of how I can support you in reaching your maximum potential.
Hey everyone, it is Coach Des here, host of the Born Unbreakable podcast, and I am launching Born a Boss Babe 90-day transformational program starting in August. And I'm looking for 18 to 24-year-old young, confident women who are ready to step up and excel in life. What is the biggest difference of somebody like an Oprah or a LeBron James? It's having that mentorship and coaching. So if you're ready to supercharge your life, hit me up, des@bornunbreakable.com for more details.
Welcome back to the Born Unbreakable podcast and our coaching series that has proven to be more valuable than I have ever imagined, because I actually look forward to them every time I have them. So if you've been joining along with Tracy Pleschourt and I, this is our 5th session of me coming totally vulnerable, emotionally naked, and telling Tracy exactly where I am in my life and on my journey, what I'm feeling, the kinds of things I'm going through, so we could talk through them live and work through them and figure out how to do that. And today I was just telling Tracy that I have been feeling, I've been talking about writing a book, been talking about this real estate endeavor that I'm pursuing, and a new program that I've launched for young women, which just happened this weekend. So that was really amazing. That happened on Sunday. And but I am feeling a little bit discouraged, and I am having some anxiety because I'm starting to think of my perfect plans with my perfect timelines. And as they get closer, and I know part of the anxiety is because we're going to flip the page to a new month, a September is just right there, that I'm having this feeling of like, oh my gosh, what if my goals don't go exactly as planned? What if certain things are delayed? I have to think of a plan B or a C or a D of what this would look like. And is that going to disappoint me? Is that going to disappoint other people that are like rallying around me for these goals? And then I just start going in a spiral, going down this path of what if this and what if that. And none of these things are happening, but they're happening in my head. So That's kind of where I'm at. And Tracy is going to help me so I don't start crying right now.
Yeah. Well, first off, let me just tell you that the awareness that you have around your thoughts and the way those thoughts are making you feel, and the awareness around the fact that, oh, these things aren't even happening. And yet I am like so bought and sold on them that I am actually feeling anxious, but yet they're not even happening. The fact that you have that awareness, Des, is huge. It typically takes, a lengthy coaching session to just get that far, just to have an awareness of the fact that these thoughts that I'm having are very dramatic. Hence the reason I'm feeling this intensity, this anxiousness. Okay, so kudos to you. You have that awareness. Now, here's a really great tactic to use, another tool in your toolbox. I steal your words from you. when you're feeling this way. So when your head is saying, what if, what if, what if, we've got the looming new month. It's going to be here in a couple days. And that might be a trigger that is tripped that starts us going, oh my gosh, we're that much closer to the deadline. What if I don't make it? Right? Let's just flush that out. What if you don't make it? What if you don't hit that deadline? Now, I just want to say before you answer that question, I know that that is a triggering question, and most of us run from it. Most of us don't want to answer that question. Most of us will find ourselves in the kitchen, right? We'll open up the pantry, we'll open
Oh
up
my gosh.
a bottle of wine, right?
I'm like crying
Yeah.
because
Yeah, it's so triggering. So I want you to know how normal this is. And the beauty of this question is that you're going to see that the worst case scenario ends in a feeling that you have the capacity, you have the capability of feeling. That's all it is. But let's talk about it. What's the worst case scenario?
yeah. Oh my gosh. I know. I'm sitting here like, I just want to eat ice cream and watch Netflix. Like, I don't want to talk about it. But it's so true because I'm sitting here going, okay, like if I walk through different examples, like the book,
Mm-hmm.
I gave myself a really aggressive date, at the beginning of November, like
Okay.
the first week of November, the draft would be done, and I'm like struggling to write things, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, but the worst that would happen is I give myself time, and I give myself the time to do it the way that I want to do it. And maybe it just takes a little bit longer, but there's nobody else that's involved in that but me. I mean, that really is, mine. And that's not that terrible when I
But
think
isn't it interesting if we don't slow down and really look at it? Isn't it
Mhm.
interesting how our primitive brain runs away with the show? And
Yeah.
it's like it's running away with hair on fire, like, oh my God, doomsday is quickly approaching if we don't have the draft done by November 1st. And when you slow down and you look at worst case scenario, and you're like, wait a minute, it's actually not that bad. It's not going to hurt anybody if I end up needing more time. But
Mhm.
you wouldn't be able to get to that point. You wouldn't be able to get to the like the breath if you don't slow down and question that dramatic primitive brain thought.
Mhm.
It's so important that we not only have an awareness of what we're feeling, which is what you brought to the table, you even brought to the table the thought that was causing it,
Mhm.
but to have an awareness of how dramatic that thought is. And worst case scenario really isn't that bad. But you have to have an awareness of that. You have to question it.
Mhm.
Like, what do you think you would be feeling come November 1st and the draft isn't done?
I mean, I'd feel a little disappointed
Right.
because, I'm just that person that's
Mhm.
like, oh, you give me a date and I'm gonna get it done. But
Mhm.
in some ways, this is a bit self-inflicted. It's not like like somebody in the world told me this had to be this way.
Mhm.
It's just there's definitely dramatization, and I think part of it is also feeling it because of multiple projects, and not and then that, oh my gosh, am I going to disappoint myself in all the things that I'm doing? Because like this week, I'm selling a property, and I put in an offer on another one, so it's contingent because I got to sell this one to get this one, and now it makes it real
Mhm.
because it's not just an idea, it's not just this thing, it's like it's actually happening, and I'm going, oh my gosh, there's a clock now, there's a clock, and I can only control these pieces, and other things of the universe are controlling these other pieces, and that's
Scary.
scary.
Yeah.
Like I can't, I can only do my part
Yeah.
in
And
this. And
so
so,
you're feeling a little bit of fear, right?
yeah.
You're afraid because
Ah,
there are circumstances that are outside of your control, or you are feeling disappointed. You're speculating that you would feel disappointed should you get to November 1st and the draft isn't done. Have
yeah.
you ever felt disappointed before in your life?
Yeah.
And you're here to tell the story, correct?
Yeah. I just
Have you
totally.
ever felt afraid of not being able to control circumstances
A
before in your
lot.
life?
Yes.
And
So many
again,
times.
you're here to tell the story of that. And you're here telling the story as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's building programs, as the next most brilliant author, as the person who just launched a program. Like, amazing, amazing accomplishments. But yet our brain is so fixated on this worst case scenario.
Yeah.
I think we might have talked about the gap and the gain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's so easy to let our brain go to that gap mentality of how far we have yet to go, right? How much more needs to be accomplished, what the deficit is,
Yeah.
even though there is so much to be proud of. Like,
I
you're
know.
probably
It
compounding
kills me.
accomplishments
It
like you
is.
never have.
It's unreal because so much is happening, and I think because of that, it's just all stacking. I don't really take time to reflect on it, but I was even putting in some new because I have alarms that go off on my phone, and they all have different reminders. And so sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety or discouraging, and I know that I need to hear a message over and over, I'll add a new thing. So then I'll go, okay, you said that this is something that you wanted. This is what you want to manifest. So you need to remind yourself of that. But that I'm that intentional because I know I'm capable of taking myself to a better state of mind.
Yeah.
But I do that on purpose because I also know that I can do this to myself.
Yeah. And you've proven all of that to be true, that you have a very high capacity. You are very, very capable. But I would just encourage you not to forget you're human. You are human and you are meant to feel it all, including disappointment, including fear. And as crazy as that sounds, feeling those two things actually have a purpose. They are actually there to show you contrast. They're actually there to prompt you to ask yourself questions
Mm-hmm.
like, what is it that I need right now? Sometimes, like, you just need to slow down and really celebrate the compounded, extraordinary accomplishments that you're moving so fast that you're forgetting to even celebrate.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
celebrating those accomplishments, like when you said that, I could see your face light up. Like all these things that you're doing right now, but yet your primitive brain is like, but, don't forget, looming deadline, looming deadline. Notice the difference between
Yeah,
how you feel when you are focusing on one or the other. It's so fascinating. And that
it
is a
is.
learning opportunity right there.
It's
It
such
doesn't
a
mean it
learning
can't happen.
opportunity. And then when I think about this weekend and I was having anxiety about the program because of course I wanted to be perfect and I was doing my little PowerPoint and I was making my little, pictures and doing all this. And, when I was present with the women on the call and, I got tagged afterwards about, the notes that one of them was taking and how excited she is to learn and grow. And she tagged everyone else in the group. And, we're on this journey together. I had such a burst of energy in the morning thinking about them
Yeah.
and wanting to encourage them and thinking of different things I could share with them to continue doing that on the in between time when we're not having a call. What are the things that we can do in our group that we can share even when we're not, in the formal setting. And that was that was a little bit of a celebration for me
Yeah.
just to start, just to have gotten to this point of like the build up and now it's here and I'm like
Yeah.
this is what they're experiencing. This is their journey that they're expressing and being vulnerable, and it's so amazing to see, and that's why I do this.
Yeah. Yeah. That, I mean, I could hear that that's what you're leading up to. It's like what you learned over the course of this last week is that when you focus on other people's journey, how much value you can add and the impact that you're making on other people, the looming deadlines, the anxiousness, the defeat, the fear, all of that is extinguished when you're focused on impacting other people's lives. Isn't
Mhm.
that like the most brilliant lesson that came from all of this? And
Yeah.
you would not have had that lesson, Des, had you not been feeling both. Like, that's what I mean when I say all of this, the anxiety, the fear, it has a purpose. It is meant to show you the contrast. It was meant to deliver this lesson to you.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful thing.
I know. It's well, and it's life, and you're right. It's like it's messy.
Mhm.
It's like this imperfect, you know,
Yeah.
roller coaster ride that has these awesome moments, but these like challenging moments where you're tired and you're going into, like, I like to say, my toolbox and go, oh, wait a minute. I listened to that book and I remember the person talking about the Power of One More or The Untethered Soul. Like, that's a book that I'm just
I love
close to the end of finishing right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so true. You can get caught up in these different, like, in old ways of thinking
Yeah.
that you've graduated from. But, sometimes your mind sort of takes you back to this like other grade level that you're going, oh, wait a minute, that was old news.
Yeah.
Like, we don't do that anymore, you know?
I think high achievers often run up against perfectionistic type thinking that it stops them dead in their tracks. Like,
Yeah.
and then then they start compounding like the suffering with thoughts like, I shouldn't be thinking or I shouldn't be feeling this way. Like,
Yeah.
you're already stunted from the I don't want to fail type thought or some variation of it. And then when you recognize that you're feeling the fear, then you go back and it's like the 1-2 punch. Now you're like, what are you doing? You shouldn't be feeling fear. You should be in the ring, like doing all the things, writing the draft and da 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 da
Yeah.
da. It's like, but in reality, we're human. And the fact that we have this expectation of being perfect right at the start was actually the place that we went wrong because we're human, which means we're going to be imperfect. And
Mhm.
so if you remind yourself of that, yes, I'm a high achiever, that doesn't translate into and everything has to be perfect. Like, I'm
Yeah.
willing to achieve in an imperfect way. Like, try on that thought.
Yeah.
That is one thing, like, that was part of my thinking, my intentional thinking this morning. It's like, how can I do this imperfectly? It doesn't have to feel easy for me to like take that first step. It can feel hard and that's okay,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? Like, I have all of these, I too have all of these perfectionistic thoughts and they absolutely hold me captive to being productive. But
Yeah.
they also, the gift in it is it shows me the contrast and I learn from it.
Mhm.
And then I'm like exponential in my like productivity. So
Yeah, and that's
there.
it is really the most amazing thing. I had been getting this kind of recurring message, and so I wrote a blog about it because that's another thing I've been doing is writing a blog every week
Good.
to it's a really good way of expressive. It's also getting me into that habit of writing because it's another form of like basically what you're doing in a book is being vulnerable. And it was I titled it Convenience Kills. And it was, I had a really amazing guy on the show named Joe Templin, and he wrote a book about excellence. And then I listened to Ed Milet's book, and he was talking about inconvenience and how, and they both just made such great points and were leading to the same thing, which is that it's inconvenient to achieve success, right? Because anytime you do something for the first time, it's uncomfortable.
Mhm.
It's not a convenient thing to have to wake up earlier or
Right.
go to bed later or start, learning about something that is now going to take up more of your time,
Yep.
and you're going to have to shift your priorities because you're trying to acquire new knowledge, new skills, or whatever it is. But by doing so, you are getting yourself out of your comfort zone, learning, growing, excelling. And so the dividends and the results that come with it are so much worth all of that investment. It's worth the energy, the time, the discomfort. But it's so true. It's like, it's really been sitting with me because I've had a lot of moments where I'm like, this is inconvenient.
Yeah. Yeah. And that can be your sign to this is working. Like the feeling of being uncomfortable or being inconvenient can be the sign that you're on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that's a really cool, every time you feel that way, oh yeah, this is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
The path of inconvenience leads to success. I'm actually feeling uncomfortable, inconvenient, right? And that can just be my sign that I'm on the right path. Stay the course.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Stay the course. I love that as a thought
Yeah.
from this session of feeling like stay the course.
Yep.
It's kind of like when you're running a marathon. Like, I remember the first time I ran a half marathon, I didn't prepare at all. I didn't even know. I just thought it sounded cool. My aunt was like, "Oh, do you want to do this?" And at the time, because this was like a long time ago, I was fit. I was like, "Are you kidding me? I could do anything." And I didn't train, didn't even know how long it was. I was like, it's probably like not that bad. And didn't have any energy stuff, didn't have headphones, nothing, just running with absolutely no tools or preparation. And I did it. And it was in San Francisco of all places. So it's not flat. It was like with hills and everything. And, I was appreciative for everything along the way that I realized I did need,
Yeah.
because I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Right.
But I tell you what, the next time I did it, I had all the things, all the energy, the headphones, the stretching exercises, all the different tools and tactics. But it's like, you just don't know what you don't know the first time you do something.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. And so it was there for a reason. The feelings have a purpose. The thoughts have a purpose. They're there to show you the contrast. Stay the course is a great thought for you to take into this next week. Also try on the thought, this is uncomfortable or I'm afraid, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
I
okay.
did not think I was going to be crying on the show today.
You're human, my friend.
And that's exactly what this is for.
Yeah.
So if you tuned in today and you're listening in, just know that this is what happens when you dig into your feelings and your thoughts, that
So
you're
worth
just
it though,
right here.
right?
And if you need to cry, just cry along with me. It's going to be fine. I'm here. You can reach out. But Tracy, thank you so much for just your presence, your energy, and always, reminding me of the ability to take our thoughts and channel them in a place where we can redirect to get to where we want to go.
Yeah. Good work. I will see you next time.
Thank you, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that may have been the first time I genuinely cried on my own podcast show. I'm trying to remember if I've actually really cried like that. Last week I made Rasha and Yvette tear up. Now I'm crying. What's going on here? Oh boy. This is real life. This is what this looks like. I really take advantage of the opportunity that I have when I'm with Tracy to be in the moment and fully honest about where I'm at, what's going on. And it does help to release. And yeah, I realize these moments of anxiety that I have. I love her coaching in saying that it is okay. I know the tools that I can go to. I know, the things that I need to practice, and I appreciate the pause. I do have trouble sometimes pushing the pause button. It is not an easy thing for me to do. I'm so used to going from one thing to the next. I look at the clock and think about my productivity and what I'm doing, and I've got it mapped out. It's on my calendar. I get reminders. I get disappointed when I don't achieve the things and I have to move the things, and it can be stressful. So I'm appreciating the journey. I am appreciating the process. I know that I'm growing, and growth is inconvenient. I highly encourage you to check out that blog that I wrote. I hope that it resonates with you, but I do truly believe in what I wrote because I feel very passionately that achieving success and growing into the next best version of us, which is a constant thing that's happening, is not going to be comfortable. It is going to be a pain in the ass a lot of times because it feels different. It's new. We are challenged. We get into different circles, and you have to be in circles sometimes where you are not the number one expert, where you are the listener, where you are the student. And if you haven't already taken a look at the immediate people around you that comprise your circle, if you are the person that is always the teacher that says something to you about who you need to start bringing around you that you can learn from, because you need that balance. It is a beautiful thing to give the gift of knowledge and experience and that didactic energy to others, but you also need to be in a position where you can learn from others as well. So hopefully you're able to take in some good energy, some good insights, and apply this episode to yourself. If you're anybody out there who has felt inconvenienced, uncomfortable, anxiety about the future and your plans, there were some nuggets, I truly believe. So remember that you are your only limit. So take action today. Tune in again next week, or actually this weekend, because we do 2 episodes a week here at the Born Unbreakable podcast. And don't forget to hit that subscribe or follow button if you haven't already. Thanks for tuning in.